Close your eyes for a second and think about the last time you felt genuinely alive. Sharp mind, strong body, the kind of energy that didn't need a coffee to sustain itself. Can you remember it? Because here's the truth. That feeling didn't disappear because you got lazy or because you stopped caring. Something inside you physically changed, and nobody ever told you what it was or that you could get it back. What I'm about to share with you isn't a supplement pitch or wellness trend. It's a biological truth that has been quietly hiding in two places at once. In the most advanced cellular research labs in the world, and inside ancient monasteries carved into Himalayan rock, thousands of feet above sea level. These two worlds have arrived at the exact same discovery through completely different paths, and that convergence should stop you cold. Because when modern science and ancient mastery agree on something, you'd be wise to pay attention. Let's start where the real story begins. Not in your diet, not in your sleep, not even in your genes. It starts in a structure so small it cannot be seen with the naked eye. You have trillions of them inside you right now, working without pause, converting the food you eat and the air you breathe into the actual fuel that keeps every single cell in your body running. These are your mitochondria. And the condition of these microscopic structures is what separates the man who feels 40 at 60 from the man who feels 60 at 40. Here's the biology you were never taught. Think of each cell in your body as a city. That city needs electricity to function, to run hospitals, power streetlights, keep the water clean. Your mitochondria are the power plants. They produce a molecule called ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is the literal currency of biological energy. Every heartbeat, thought, muscle contraction, immune response is funded by ATP. Without it, the lights go out. Now here is what happens after 40. The power plants start failing, consistently and progressively, in a way that compounds over years. The mitochondria begin to fragment, their protective membranes weaken, their energy output drops, and in the process of failing, they don't just go quiet, they release toxic byproducts directly into the cells they were meant to serve. Scientists call this mitochondrial dysfunction. You have been calling it by a different name, aging. The numbers are stark. ATP production in the average person drops by close to 50% between the ages of 40 and 70. That is your biological engine running permanently on half a tank. At the same time, a molecule called NAD+, think of it as the maintenance crew that repairs the power plants, falls to critically low levels. Without NAD+, damaged mitochondria cannot fix themselves. They accumulate errors, they produce less energy, and the cascade accelerates. But here's the detail that should genuinely disturb you. This process begins long before you notice it. The cellular erosion starts in your 30s. Now hold that thought, because here's where the story pivots into something remarkable. 3,000 years ago, before the first electron microscope, before the word mitochondria existed, before any researcher had identified ATP, there were men who understood something profound about the relationship between breath, heat, and the force that animates the body. As a practical, transmissible, rigorously tested body of knowledge, they lived in the mountains of Tibet. They practiced in stone monasteries in the cold, and they were doing something with their breathing and their bodies that, from the outside, looked like mysticism. From the inside, it was engineering. The practice is called tumo. It has been documented in Tibetan texts dating back well over 1,000 years. It appears in Taoist longevity manuscripts from the Han Dynasty, where it was described as the cultivation of internal fire, a method considered so potent it was passed only from master to advanced student, never recorded plainly, always encoded. It surfaces in the Vedic tradition, in the Upanishads, where specific breathing techniques were described not as spiritual exercises, but as biological keys. Methods for accessing a life force current that ran beneath ordinary breath. What were these practices actually producing? Monks who could sit in sub-zero temperatures and generate enough internal heat to dry soaking wet sheets draped over their bodies. Tibetan masters documented in historical records, performing feats of physical endurance and cognitive clarity at 80 that challenged men half their age. Practitioners across multiple independent lineages who seemed to age by different rules than the people around them. For centuries, the Western scientific mind looked at these accounts and reached for the word myth. In 2012, that word became harder to use. A landmark study published in the journal Cell identified a protein called PGC1-alpha. What researchers discovered was extraordinary. PGC1-alpha, functions as a master regulator, a biological switch, essentially, that when activated triggers the creation of brand new mitochondria inside existing cells. This process has a name: mitochondrial biogenesis. The ability to literally grow new cellular batteries inside a body that had been losing them, not restore damaged ones, build new ones from scratch. The next question was obvious. What activates it? The two most powerful known triggers for PGC1 alpha are controlled hypoxia, deliberate, temporary restriction of oxygen, and cold exposure. Both of these work through a mechanism called hormesis. Hormesis is the scientific principle that controlled, manageable stress forces the body to adapt, rebuild, and emerge structurally stronger. It's the same principle behind exercise. You break muscle fibers under load, and the body rebuilds them denser and more resilient than before. What Tumo breathing does, and what makes it so uniquely powerful, is trigger both of these mechanisms simultaneously. Let that sink in. An ancient breathing practice, developed without any knowledge of protein signaling pathways, was activating the precise biological switch that modern science would need decades to identify. The monks didn't have the vocabulary, but they had the result. A 2019 study from the Netherlands examined practitioners of Wim Hof's method, which draws directly from Tumo, and found measurable reductions in inflammatory markers alongside enhanced control of the autonomic nervous system. That second finding was particularly significant because for the century prior, mainstream medicine had held that the autonomic nervous system was entirely involuntary, not subject to conscious influence. This study showed otherwise. Separately, a Harvard-affiliated research program found that breathwork and cold exposure protocols were associated with longer telomere length in middle-aged subjects. Telomeres are the protective caps on your DNA strands. When they shorten, cellular aging accelerates. When they are preserved, that process slows. This is peer-reviewed, replicated, and it maps perfectly onto what the ancient lineages were describing in the only language available to them. They called it internal fire. We now call it mitochondrial biogenesis. Different words, same process. So let's talk about the practice itself, the actual technique adapted from classical Tumo for daily use. Do this on an empty stomach, never in water, ideally in the morning before you eat anything. It has 3 phases, and each one matters. Phase 1 is preparation. Sit upright with your spine straight, hands resting on your knees. Begin taking 30 deep, full breaths through the nose. Each inhale should fill your belly first, then expand into your chest. The exhale releases through the mouth, complete and unforced. Don't pause between breaths. Build a rhythm, build momentum. Within 10 or 15 breaths, you will begin to feel a tingling sensation in your hands, your face, around your lips. This is the oxygen chemistry in your blood beginning to shift. It is the signal that phase 1 is working. Phase 2 is the hold. On the exhale of your 30th breath, empty your lungs completely. Push every last trace of air out, and then stop. Do not inhale. Sit inside that stillness. Your body will register an alarm. It will want air. Stay calm, because the discomfort is not danger. You have far more capacity than you have been led to believe. For beginners, hold for 60 to 90 seconds. This is where the biology happens. This is where the hypoxic signal reaches your cells. This is where PGC1 alpha begins to respond. When the hold finally ends, and you must breathe, take one full, deliberate inhale through the nose and hold it at the top for 15 seconds, pressing the breath gently into your chest, then release. That is one complete round. Phase 3 is repetition and cold. Perform 3 to 4 rounds of this sequence. After your final round, move directly to cold water exposure, 30 to 90 seconds on your face, neck, and upper body at minimum. This cold shock activates a second independent wave of mitochondrial response through a separate pathway involving cold shock proteins and brown adipose tissue activation. When you layer the cold exposure directly after the breathwork, these two signals don't simply add together, they compound. The biological response is multiplicative. Do this practice 4 to 5 days per week. Morning is optimal. Consistency over intensity. The body builds its deepest adaptations in layers, and the most significant structural changes emerge after week 2 and 3. Now let me tell you what practitioners consistently report. In the first week, the most common observation is a softening of the afternoon energy crash. Mental clarity sharpens in the mornings. By week 3, something deeper begins to shift. sleep quality improves. Recovery from physical effort accelerates. A baseline energy emerges that is qualitatively different from anything a stimulant produces. Clean, steady, and available before the first coffee of the day. By week 8, the changes become structural. Mitochondria are proliferating. Cells are repairing accumulated damage faster than new damage accrues. The inflammatory baseline, the low, chronic, invisible fire that drives biological aging at every level, begins to cool. The ancient masters called this rejuvenation. As a literal description of a biological reversal of the decay pattern most people over 40 have been told is simply the cost of living long. Here is what I want you to carry out of this video. You are not a passive machine wearing down on a fixed timeline. You are a dynamic, adaptive biological system that responds to the signals it receives. For decades, you may have been giving your body the signal that no particular demands are being made of it, that no stress requires adaptation, that no renewal is needed. Tumo breathing gives your cells a different instruction. It says, adapt, rebuild. The body has always known how to do this. It has been waiting for the signal. The monks in the Himalayas didn't have blood panels or laboratory assays, but they had something perhaps more valuable: the patience to observe the body across lifetimes of practice, and the discipline to transmit what they found precisely. What took them centuries of careful refinement, we can now verify in a single peer-reviewed study. The knowledge has been recovered. The question now is only what you do with it. You've just been given the instruction. The biology is waiting for you to use it. Until next time.